last but not least, Aurélie Montagnon, Central Technical Manager at Orffa. So, and you are going to talk about the benefits of an emulsifier with an optimal HLB value of feed utilization. So, good luck, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I wanted to talk today about really the world of the emulsifiers and maybe on digestibility promotion, and then the link with feed efficiency, but also sustainability, as we already talked about before. So for the agenda, I'm going to focus first on what is feed efficiency. Of course, we already, with the previous speakers, introduced it, but I'm going to dive a little bit on it to have a bit of context. And then I want to introduce, let's say, the big oceans of every emulsifiers that exist on the market, and then present you a meta-analysis that we did specifically on feed efficiency, and then a part on sustainability. So feed efficiency is very important, and it answers, in fact, a lot of challenges that are right now on the agriculture world. So first of all, feed is representing around 60 to 70% of the cost of animal productions. So we need, of course, to reduce that as much as possible. There is also a growing demand for animal protein with, for example, a growing population. And therefore, some alternative raw materials can be used because they are cheaper than classical ones. But the issue is that they are typically less digestible, so less usable for the animal. And there is also worldwide regulations that limit the use of resources. We could think of the deforestation regulation of the EU that we heard a lot currently and in the past months. And also feed efficiency, or like improvement in general, is really a natural desire of humans to always improve and strive for better. So it's a clear challenge that will continue in the future to be really important in animal production. So there are a lot of benefits to improve feed efficiency. First, it will reduce the feed cost, so to really improve the profitability, for example, of the farmers. It will also optimize nutrient utilization to reduce the waste and the pressure on the environment. Then also linked to the environment, it will promote sustainable farming, And lastly, it will enhance, of course, the animal performance to increase the production of animal protein. So now let's focus a bit more on the market of the emulsifiers. And it's very broad. There are a lot of types of emulsifier that have different applications in feeds. And this hydrophilic lipophilic balance is a nice way to categorize and differentiate the different emulsifier of the market. So as you can see here on your left, when you have a low hydrophilic lipophilic balance, you will have more emulsifier that can emulsify big amount of oil into small amount of water. And that's what we call more technical emulsifier, because they will be useful for the mixing or pelleting process, for example. An example of technical emulsifier that you might have heard already is lecithins. This HLB is around 4 to 6, so it's a very ideal technical emulsifier for that. And then on the other side, with a high HLB value, you have what we call nutritional emulsifier, so able to emulsify small amount of oil, into big amount of water, and that is the case in the small intestine. For example, in poultry, but it will be the same in swine, you have 25 times more water than oil in the gut. So you need clearly an emulsifier that is able, let's say, to swim in that water and to really emulsify in that condition itself. And so we developed a product called Excential Energy Plus, which has an HLB between 16 to 18, making it very adapted to the nutritional condition and to the condition of the small intestine. So the active ingredients in Excential Energy Plus is called glyceryl polyethylene glycol resinolate. a very long name, so I will call it GPGR for the presentation. But basically, this GPGR is coming from castor bean oil. So you harvest the castor bean, you extract the oil, and then you can extract completely the GPGR from that oil, and you arrive to molecular structure similar than this. So the left part of the molecule with the double bond is more the lipophilic part. And then the right part, where it's surrounded in green, is the hydrophilic part. And that will be the very important part to be active in the small intestine of the animals. So here it's showing 3 different groups for the hydrophilic part, but in Essential Energy Plus we have way more to reach, in fact, the high HLP that we have in that product. It's really convenient because, in fact, the amount of these green molecules is positively correlated with the HLP. So not all GPG are the same. You need really to have a look at what is exactly the molecular structure, and therefore what is the HLB and the action inside of the gut. Then there is a mineral carrier to make it free-flowing powder, and it's produced in Belgium. And we did a lot of scientific and commercial trials to really have a look in different species and different diets, its efficiency. Just to explain a bit the mode of action specifically of those nutritional emulsifiers. So they will have 2 main modes of action, and the first one will be the digestion of the fats. So it will be able to emulsify the fat nobles that will come from added fat or oils such as soy oil, but also every fat that will be, for example, in corn, soybean meal, etc., etc. And it will emulsify it into droplets for further digestion by the lipase. So that's the first one. And then second one will be on the absorption of the free fatty acids specifically. So it will emulsify those free fatty acids into meat cell to have a good absorption via the epithelium. There is also a lot of side benefits, such as the absorption of fat-soluble pigments, fat-soluble vitamins, and also a link with the digestion of the protein and the fibers. That will not go into much detail due to the presentation length. And so with that product, looking at all the different benefits that we saw, we compiled that into a meta-analysis to really compare the different applications. So the first meta-analysis that we did was looking at as the productivity enhancing application. So meaning that it's on top, and we kept exactly the same diets between the control and the treatment diets. So isocaloric, isoprotein, etc. So it was 10 different studies with more than 6,000 growers, and we looked at the application of 350 ppm of Essential Energy Plus, which is our recommended dosage in specifically in growers. And as you can see, the results on the top: body weight gain, average daily feed intake, feed conversion ratio at standardized weight of 2.5 kilograms. And then on the last, you have the European production efficiency factor. So taking into account the livability, the weight gain, and also the SCR. And so you see that the production, the growth performance were improved by almost 4%. There was no significant impact on the feed intake, but there was a clear impact on feed efficiency, specifically here feed conversion ratio, that was improved by 4% almost. And lastly, so the production efficiency was improved by 6%. So it was clear that with a nutritional emulsifiers like Energy Plus, you can clearly improve the animal performance and the feed efficiency in that case. I'm not going to go into details again for the sake of time, but we did the same in swine. With also great results, as you can see, on the feed conversion ratio, so feed efficiency by 5% for the growing fattening pigs and 6% by the piglets. Then we also did meta-analysis comparing Essential Energy Plus with other emulsifiers that are available on the market. As I mentioned, there are a lot of different types, so it's important to have a look in the animal, what are the differences. So in dark blue, it's other emulsifier, and in green, it's Essential Energy Plus. And the other emulsifiers were, for example, lysophospholipid, so lysolecithins, or also GPGR molecules, but that have a different hydrophilic lipophilic balance than Essential Energy Plus. As you can see, when you replace those emulsifiers by Orffa products, you can really increase again the growth performance and also the feed efficiency of your growers, resulting in a better production efficiency also at the end. And so it shows clearly that you can still improve the feed efficiency with Essential Energy Plus compared to other emulsifiers that in fact were added at higher dosage than even the Orffa additives. And that's mainly due to the total nutrient digestibility improvements. So it will not only look at fat digestion, but also protein and fiber digestion, and really taking into account the whole feed itself. And then lastly, for the meta-analysis, we also had a look at the cost-saving application, meaning that you can in fact reduce the energy inside of your diet by including the emulsifier and keeping the same performance. So it was 17 different studies with more than 24,000 growers, and there, in general, we reformulated by around 80 kilocalories per kilogram of feed of metabolizable energy, and that meant around 2% crude fat reduction in the negative control. The protein were not changed. In that case, it was only the energy linked to the fats. And so there was no impact on the performance parameters, meaning that you can still reduce the energy, so by 80 kilocalories, while not changing your performance and not having a negative impact on that. But you had then, of course, feed cost reduction, because energy sources, fat sources are very expensive, in fact, in the feed cost. So here we had more than €5 per ton for feeds of cost reduction, which means around 20 cents per animal. Doesn't seem a lot for one brother, but of course farms are way more than one. And it means then a return on investment of 3.5. And then I will link it also to the sustainability, because on top of the cost reduction, you can also reduce the CO2 and every other sustainability parameters. So we did a life cycle assessment, both in poultry and in swine, where we assessed different sustainability parameters. And here I'm showing specifically the CO2 one, where you can see that on top of reducing the feed cost, you have an interest as to reducing CO2. So by 2.9% for the poultry and 2.7% in swine. So I'm not sure if the consumer will be willing to pay for this higher sustainability, but maybe a strategy like that can help also farmers to see that they can reduce their feed costs and still promoting sustainability on their farm itself. And so that's meant a return on sustainable investments of 1 to 200. And just to make it a bit more visual for the sake of understanding, if we take the offset of CO2 by trees, 1 ton of Energy Plus will be equivalent to the CO2 offset of 7,700 trees. So as to visualize it a bit more in that way also. Other sustainability parameters was also improved, like the land use, the eutrophication, etc. So to conclude, we have several challenges that makes it very important to right now focus on feed efficiency, and nutritional emulsifiers are good digestibility promoters to improve the feed efficiency in that case. And so Orffa focused on the high HLB to have really the high action inside of the small intestine, so good hydrophilic lipophilic balance. And with that product, we have more than 100 scientific and commercial trials in different species. Here I focus more on monogastric like poultry and pigs, but there is also result in ruminants and aquaculture, for example. And you can either focus on improving animal performance or focus on reducing the feed cost while also having an improvement on the sustainability. And you have also other benefits, which are, for example, the pigments improvements of the egg yolk, for example, the meat quality, liver health, etc. But yeah, I will not dive into details for now. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free. And if you want, you can always come to our booth, Wall 22C18, to discuss more about that and other topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Any questions at the moment?
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I also want to find out if you also looked into the fatty acid profile of meat or many good products.
Yeah, we looked specifically at fatty acid profile of meat, and there was a clear improvement here. We are also currently looking at fatty acid profile of milk. The results are still, we are still looking at it, so I can't give a conclusion yet. But that's definitely something that we want to look at, and that Energy Plus can have a benefits on it. Yes.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Then thank you.